Oh, yes, everybody, hit that like, share the show. We're about to get started. Right. I don't know if we're up on... Oh, Substack is up. Good. Okay, I'm just not getting the warning about it. That's excellent. Okay, good. Sometimes it doesn't move on from its own page. Drives me a little crazy. All right, let's get to it, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. It's a sad day. Ozzy has passed, and after he gave that amazing performance, even though he could not stand, his singing voice was strong. I think a lot of people felt, that he might have a little while left in him. I think a lot of us, there's a mixed feeling about it. On the one hand, it seems kind of impossible that he's gone. And on the other hand, it seems impossible he made it this long. This is a man who allegedly snorted ants, licked pee off of, I think, Tommy Lee's urine, actually. Or it might have been Nikki Sixx's. It's debatable. Off of the cement next to a pool at a hotel in Los Angeles. Who did so many drugs, it was alleged that the reason he walks around kind of hunched over is that if he stands up straight, he gets like a flashback because there's so much like drugs retained in his spinal fluid or were. But I would like to make the case. First of all, I'd like to say that one of Ozzy's gifts, besides the music that he gave and obviously the part of the wave of metal and hard rock that he was a part of, was introducing the world to incredible guitar players, not the least of which, of course, is Randy Rhoads, who, like Eddie Van Halen, there were almost like two camps in styles of how you went. The real rippers and benders and whammy bar crowd, and then there were the classical respect of Randy Rhoads. And Randy Rhoads' introduction and his almost... using sort of, he and Eddie both use like Mixolydian scales and Arabian sounding scales mixed in with their very bluesy style. That but there was like a technique split the people who went the Eddie route and the people who went the Randy route. And the Randy route, in many ways, maybe because it was perceived as easier, which I don't think it is. I think it's less, more, it was more. You could study it because it was based on a classical way of playing. Sorry, I was a little teary eyed running up to the show about this. But Brad Gillis, who was in Night Ranger, and I just got a chance to meet him for the first time in Chicago at the Hoodie Bash, filled in when Randy died and was in this very strange situation of having to finish a tour for a guy who died, who was, really just, he deepened rock guitar. He brought a depth to it that I think a lot of people, and I'm just making sure I'm up and running, we're all good. Chat room, you guys there? I don't mind saying this to myself, but Randy Rhoads, was introduced by Ozzy. Obviously, he worked with Tony Iommi, and Tony is the birthplace of the metal rhythm riff. His soloing is great and arcane and poetic and syrupy and smart and shocking, but his rhythms were the thing, kind of like AC/DC, that challenged and changed what it meant to write a rock riff, right? And then Jakey Lee comes along. I'm a huge Jakey Lee. Hal cried when Prince died too. I cry on Prince's birthday every year, practically. And at some point, Christopher Titus and I are gonna sit down and play a bunch of Prince songs that we both celebrate, right? A lot. And I think it will surprise people knowing our energy. I guarantee there will be songs where wait, that's the song that got you? So Jakey Lee comes along, and there's a resurgence of guitar intensity. Jakey Lee is so goddamn impressive, just so good. And he was with him for a few albums, and I feel like in many ways it was definitely not a situation of all killer, no filler with those albums, but the songs that hit and worked and were a bond between him and Jake that came out like Shot in the Dark, and those songs are just the riffs on them are incredible. And I gotta say, it's times like this when I feel like there should be a moratorium on the RIAA strikes. Copyright strikes should be off for a day when somebody like this dies, so you could just get into it, right? And it's funny because sometimes I'll play music on my stuff, and you guys will know that there was that Universal Music Group guy that put a hit on my show to keep me from broadcasting during the election of 2020. And so since then, I've really stiff-armed that. But Jakey Lee, there's a reason why in my improv in the movie Extract that I did with Mike Judge, I'm the one who threw in the Jakey Lee reference because I love his playing so much. And then what came next was what I would say is the most unsung Ozzy album of all time, which is No Rest for the Wicked. And I would argue that pound for pound, that record is top to tails fucking brilliant. As far as Ozzy's songwriting, as far as the guitar work on it, as far as the production, from beginning to end, that album fucking, it's just a cement avalanche. It's so heavy. And it's why when I was introduced to the playing of Zach, that's Zach Wilde with Ozzy during that tour, and that the pinch harmonics and all that kind of stuff just settled in, and he had a real style, and it mixed really well. Ozzy, somebody was like, "Can you play and sing as a riff?" Not without getting a copyright strike because it sounds just like him. But Zach is just fucking amazing. And this is when he was like a pretty boy. Now he looks like a fucking Viking. But back then he was like the girls were up at his business. But in this, this is how much it meant to me. This is a real Gibson, like first run of that guitar, an official one. Now Zach has his own line of guitars right now, and if any of you go and watch my first TV performance with my band, when 01 was the Hal Sparks band, we were on the Mike Bullard show when I was doing Queer as Folk in Toronto, and I played this guitar on the show. So just look up, Hal Sparks, Mike Bullard, Satellites, and we did Satellites live. Me and my buddy Robert Hall, who's no longer with us, who we miss every day, and this is the only electric guitar my dad ever bought me. That's how like influential it was. Like when my dad was asking me like, "Hey, what kind of guitar would you want me to get from Gruen Guitars in Nashville?" I'm like, if they could find one of these, the original run, that's what I would want. And then of course my dad, who I have a 1969 Martin D18. I have a 1969 Les Paul custom natural 3 pickup that this guy personally routed out and put 3 pickups in. It's an incredible guitar, but this is the guitar my dad got me, and I wanted this, and this is how you know this is real. So in my family, you do not musical instruments are meant to be played. They have life in them and spirit in them, and you don't just hang them on a wall. I mean, they make great art, and you can, but they are meant to be played. So I don't trust a guitar that doesn't have buckle scratch on the back of it, and I would never buy a used collector's guitar that didn't. Right? Hold on one second. I'm gonna do one thing. Hold on, chat room. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. One moment, please. So you can tell this is how you can tell this is live. Okay, so one more second. And then I will need, and I have no idea if this guy's in tune right now because I loosen the strings on them when I'm between playing, but this thing's got such bulletproof strings on it. It's hilarious because they're so heavy. And the reason I started playing with such a heavy strings at one point was because because I broke my finger, and it was too. And I don't know how well. Okay. So, I have to move my ring to the other finger. So, the So, yeah. So I love this guitar. This is one of Caleb's picks, and he plays such light picks. Yeah, that's a it's just my little spider valve that I play with sometimes. Oh, wait. One of my picks is sitting right here. There you go. So that was the pinch harmonic that Zach made popular. That right? And that, for me, mixed with like John Sykes, who I love very much, like drove me to kind of dig into the guitar. And no, this has a built-in distortion in it. It's just got one of the it's a line 6 spider valve. It's a little one. I have a big the head I play with live is one. So anyways, this whole like that kind of thing, right? So that pinch that splits and creates that high-pitched wail, that's what Zach brought. And people they kind of like almost mocked it, like how much of it he would use. But I just loved it, and it was the accent that he needed. It was like, if you thought of like Eddie defaulting to tapping, to throw in flavor or go, oh yeah, people love when you do, stuff like that. Then Zach doing that whole like that thing to the point where that off of the Zach album there's a song called Stillborn, and Ozzy sings in the chorus of it, and the beginning of it is just is basically that pinch harmonic. Blind me, escape what was, right? That whole part. Stillborn, I have become, right? So that's that, and then so that's the No More Tears. right? So, anyways, we love Ozzy, and this sort of this turned me on. Yeah, Blessed Hell Ride. Thank you very much. I brain farted on it because I'm looking at a picture and I'm very sad. So, Blessed Hell Ride should have been the next Ozzy record. That's another conversation for another time. I wish Ozzy had sang that whole record. It would have been fantastic. I love this music, hated the TV show. I agree. Hal sounding like Cornell. I can do that. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's not just history with like the style Zach played with Ozzy, but also my dad getting me this guitar as a gift, is a huge thing in my life. So there are crisscrosses in the music you love and the life, you're in that are extraordinary beyond that. And by the way, if you look on the back here, you can see Zach's little cutout on there. And this one's 538. And then I think this is the first triad I learned was because of Zach on this thing at home. So I just practicing that all the time, trying to get to that. How do you do it? There you go. Something like that. So, right off the top of my head, having not played it in years, but I don't know. I'm just saying that album, this album especially, was a turning point for me in what I wanted to accomplish with my own guitar playing. It's actually where, in my own style, when I was trying to create something, because I like the pinch harmonics, I like that. But because I had a broken finger, this one, it's got 3 screws in it, and I could group it together with this one and do a bend on, because it was, take your weakness and turn it into a string. I would do those kind of things. Right? So instead of doing the pinch harmonic with just that, I would do two dual string bend, and I added that as my signature in my rhythm playing, which you're allowed to do. Arnold says, I'm a Trump derangement syndrome asshole. By the way, you have to have Trump derangement syndrome to even like that guy. He was friends with Jeffrey Epstein. You have to be deranged to vote for somebody like that. You can't find another Republican who will vote that way. You're a silly person. Bill Cod says, I'm going to steal that. That's totally fine. Just credit me. That part. So that's what I added that to my stuff, right? Right? So there you go. So in that, I think I just needed to get that off my chest with you guys. By the way, does that sound okay through the... Cool. And by the way, this has the curse of the Gibson is that you'll find the G string is always going out of tune. It's not my fault. Look, I'll pull on a G string, but that's... it's not my fault if it goes out of tune. So there we go. We lost another great one. And hold on, let me put the I gotta say, I'm wearing these over-ear headphones that don't go in my ear holes. And I can actually hear what's playing on the guitar with them on, which is different than normal headphones. So this might be a regular thing so that I can actually play. And I'll leave the amp in here for that. But this is Ozzy and Zach, Happier Times. And during the No More Tears era, my hair was long like it is now, and I used to wear round glasses all the time, and people would think I was him. It was very strange. The people would think I was Ozzy, you know, it's a weird thing, you know. I could pull it off. We have the same nose, Ozzy and I. I feel like I could do if they want to do a biopic, I feel like I can pull it off, you know. So yeah, we just, you know, those things happen. And I will say that when it comes to Ozzy, I think the beauty of him is that he lasted a lot longer than we thought. Yeah, it's sad to see him go. Yeah, it's a loss for the music world, but if anybody in the rock world felt like he was living on borrowed time, it was Ozzy. And I want to recommend, if I could, pick this record up. If you're rock fan and you appreciate genuinely talented musicians playing at the top of their game, um, this album for me, especially Zach's launch, is just incredible. And Fire in the Sky will feel particularly touching as Ozzy has passed. And in many ways, it was about Randy, um, and is a a soulful goodbye. Um, but I highly recommend it. If you're going to add something to um, your heavy metal repertoire, if you have any, yeah, Ozzy totally lived 5 lifetimes, totally. Um, and the the amount, like, just overall, like, I mean, of the albums that he did, um, um, Miracle Man was about swagger on this one. Crazy Babies was sort of, I guess, about boomers in a lot of ways. Breaking All the Rules has one of the best solos of any Ozzy record. I will put that up against anything. Fire in the Sky, Demon Alcohol, which I think, is an anthem for any recovering addict. Um, yeah, just so goddamn good. So to that end, I would just recommend that. And whenever we're in a situation like this, you want to celebrate the music of the person as much as you want. As hard as it is to say goodbye, when it comes up, and you don't know how it's going to hit you. What you really, what you really want to focus on when you're done. Don't rush it. You guys know I wear my heart on my sleeve. I don't give a shit about. I've cried on air so many times because I care, and I believe that every emotion has a lifespan, and if you cut it off early, you deny that life for yourself. So if you're feeling sad, own the sadness and be okay with it, and don't milk it, don't sell it, don't turn it into self-pity or any of that kind of stuff, but feel your feelings and don't be afraid of them. That's what strength is to me. Um, and yeah, by the way, we could totally do a show just on the greatest solos. And Bark at the Moon is incredible. The riff in that is almost as good as the solo. Like, that's how you know somebody's just a musical angel, is when their rhythm riffs are as impressive technically and as flowing and as musical as their solos. And Ozzy gave us a lot of that. Ozzy's, again, the gift of, his own songwriting, his performance, his energy, his bizarre behavior, and all that kind of stuff. That person that pushes the boundary of what a human's allowed to do in their wild man phase or their wild woman phase without crossing that line. Like I've said before, everybody's in life is looking for as much uh-oh as they can get without reaching oh no. And Ozzy lived on the edge of that, right? And taught us all that it's okay. You can live up to that, and no one will fault you for taking as much life as this can give, as this your time, your limited time on Earth can give. And some people are like, sorry, who's it? They said, always keep your guitars tuned to 440. 3 different highly renowned luthiers told me that between plays or in storage. Oh, okay. I do. Thanks, Robert. I appreciate that. I do 432 most of the time. It's a weird little note. I do the Vivaldi A tuning. The 01 record is in Vivaldi A. It's in 432. And yeah, Rip Malcolm Jamal Warner, another great example. Like, you don't know how much time. And so when somebody shows up and lives at the edge of life, I think the gift most of us can take from them is how much, more there is to experience in life than you might be comfortable experiencing up to, whatever your ethical, moral limits that should exist or your own physical limitations, right? So he wanted to be taken back to England. I understand that. He wanted to move back to England. I see. So you're a 440 cal yourself. That's okay. No one gets out alive, or we all do. I also don't know if you guys have seen. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this in videos. Yeah, I'll find it in there. But there's I've done Close My Eyes Forever with Adi Argalazi, who won Israeli Idol. She joined us on stage at the Ultimate Jam Night. I've done that before. I have no doubt that when we have our next jam, it will be a salute to Ozzy. I would suggest, here's what I want to do, and we'll move on to the rest of the show if that's okay with you guys. Here's what I would suggest for the Ultimate Jam Night. This would be my idea. Every Halloween show, whenever we're closest to Halloween, whether it's the Tuesday before or the Tuesday after, even if it's in November, whatever's closest to Halloween, as far as the Tuesday that we play at the Jam, should be an Ozzy tribute. Like bands he's played with and people who played with him. You could, there's all kinds of stuff you could do, but celebrating Ozzy on Halloween, would be great. It'd be, I know people will say Alice Cooper or Kiss or whatever, people wear makeup, that's whatever, but I feel like Ozzy is the Prince of Darkness, and I'll also end it on this. I want to make a case, and feel free to at me about this, but Ozzy Osbourne was a gospel singer. For all the the talk about him being the Prince of Darkness or something sort of evil about what he was doing, if you listen to his lyrics, from War Pigs to Miracle Man to Demon Alcohol to Shot in the Dark, they were all morality plays or conversations about morality. And he was, I don't know, Crazy Train, in all honesty, like they are all indicative of a morality that he was trying to, Change is another great song, absolutely. That he was, at his essence, a gospel singer. And I will stand by that forever, that there was more... There's more genuine Christianity in the music of Ozzy Osbourne than you will see from any TV preacher in my lifetime, and certainly the ones running around. That's just the reality. So, if you... and I would challenge you, go back and listen. Go back and listen to, songs off of, any number of his records. And you're not going to hear blind, angry, villainous behavior. You're not going to. You're going to hear when there is songs or talk of evil, it's in a sorrowful way, and it's repentant, and it's tortured. It's not celebratory of it. And when he's just singing directly, he's, you're right, he's being kind of, more John Lennon than anybody else. So I will die. That's the Ozzy hill that I will die on. So um, the ultimately what I guess I want to say is to Sharon and his family and Zach and everybody in his band and Geezer and all those guys, like, my sincerest condolences, and I get it. Suicide Solution, that's a great example too. Great example. Suicide Solution caught hell because of the word suicide in the title. But I want to take a look at the lyrics um, of Suicide Solution, and what that song was a was an anti-alcoholism song. Basically, it was solving your problems with alcohol is suicide. That there are so many people that joined AA or got cleaned up or fixed themselves because of that song. Wine is fine, but whiskey's quicker. Suicide is slow with liquor. Take a bottle, drown your sorrows, then it flows away tomorrows, away tomorrows. It gets rid of the rest of your life. It floods away tomorrow. Your evil thoughts and evil doings, cold alone, you hang in ruins. Thought you'd escape the reaper, but you can't escape the master keeper. That's alcoholism. Because you feel like life's unreal and you're living a lie. Such a shame, who's to blame, and you're wondering why. Then you ask for your cask is there, life after birth. What you sow can mean hell on this earth. Now you live inside a bottle. The reaper's traveling at full throttle. It's catching you, but you don't see. The reaper's you, and the reaper is me. Breaking laws, locking doors. There's no one at home. Made your bed, rest your head, but you lie there and moan. Where to hide? Suicide is the only way out. Don't you know what it's really about? This is about drinking your life away, right? And a warning to himself and to the people he loves and the people he'd lost, right? So the Ozzy did a bunch of that in his songwriting, cautionary tales and morality plays, right? So I like I said, that's my argument. Ozzy was a gospel singer, and there is more genuine Christianity in his music than there is in the words of any TV preacher or any of these people who will sell this faux Christianity, in books and on television. So I rest my case. How about that? Uh, Another rough one, man. Um, I almost like feel bad giving time to any of the stuff we've been dealing with, in the news, because it feels like it cheapens it. I gotta say. I mean, I'm glad to do what I do, and I do think we all experience the value of sort of the piss being taken out of, um, you know, politicians and pundits who sell lies to us and the like. And I think that's something Ozzy pushed as well, right? Um, and and at the same time you're like, fuck these dudes. Yeah, Jim and Tammy. Well, Miracle Man is largely about swagger, but I think he was indicative, and Jim Baker. Yeah, Jim Baker, Jim and Tammy, but largely about swagger. I get three of these a year. We get more than that. Um, Yeah, that's right. The Swaggart was the "I have sinned against you." The guy who did the naked fire drill. He would drive around with a naked woman in the car and go like, "I'm Jimmy Swaggart. There's a naked lady." Like that was the, and then he would get stop at a stoplight and she would get out and run naked around the car and get back in because he was so like pent up, and that's what he did. Yes, I hear Camp too. Hold on one second. Love you. It's very difficult to not get excited when you're playing, I think, Sea of Thieves. Um, Miracle Man got busted. Pedo President got busted. Yeah, I think there would have been songs in this. I need a kitty snuggle. I always feel like I'm torturing my cats. Anybody ever cried on their cat and they're like, I feel bad for you, dude, but you're staying. um, don't yuck Jimmy's yum. Yeah, honest to God, I think we all agree. Like, I don't give a shit if she's consensual or whatever, and you're doing that. I wouldn't have minded it. It was the telling people that gay people are too immoral to get married, right? So, um, yeah. How's the Falwell's pool boy? Oh yeah, right. About they're doing just fine. They skated right past that, didn't they? Yeah. Um, yeah, the Satanic Panic was fairly hilarious. I love hearing Camp 2. And, there is, yeah, uh, Ozzy will live forever. Thanks, Noah. Um, the, here, hold on. Um, let's see. The Fire in the Sky. Let's see if I can blow this up for you. I gotta say, like I'm gonna wreck myself again. That opening line, which if I read aloud, I will weep. Um, when that like um that was about it was about Randy, but it was also about Ozzy telling his truth about himself. But I have to admit, when that album came out, those those lines caught me off guard, right? Those like hearing those because you're listening to the album for the first time, and the rest of it's pretty fucking heavy, and then like so um as weird as he was, and I'm sure along the way, like every human being on this planet, he you know hurt people and was hurt by people and all that kind of stuff. We're all um imperfect vessels, and especially those that make a career performing as one, even if they aren't, um, they're going to leave some dust in their wake and go through some stuff. And as an addict, he admits that he forgot he was in Black Sabbath at one point. He didn't remember he'd been in that band. Um, but there's a gift that music gives you, and like that the God, when that album came out, that fucked me up hearing that, right? Yeah, I think you guys are right. I think, chat room, if you don't mind, um, I'm gonna let today's show be that. We'll catch up with these, the usual cast of characters and all this stuff and news tomorrow and all that kind of stuff. And I've got the morning show, and Phil will be joining us. And um, but I think this is just it's okay. Just a salute, just respect, just the the right to be sad. And thanks, thanks, boss. I needed uh, need to take the day off, and to all the people who don't that don't get this kind of music, that don't, it's not their thing. It wasn't their thing. It won't be their thing. It's okay. But I hope you see, uh, in my reaction and maybe some of the other people in the chat, I hope you see the impact it has. I hope you, one day, even if, because I've always said, I I don't need to like what you like to love that you love it. And the greatest song in the world is the one that touches you the most right now. And I have zero guilty pleasures in my life because I have no guilt about the things that I love. I don't like them because somebody else does. And I will, even when joking about bands or music I don't particularly like, I hope it comes across that if it's the song that gets you through, it's the greatest song ever. And I'm so happy for you. So if it's not an Ozzy song, maybe you can find your way to Mama, I'm Coming Home, or, uh, one of the softer ones, one of the ballads, as it were. Even the heavy ballads, even if you don't find that today, even if it wouldn't do it for you to listen to one of his songs. Listen to a song that does it for you, and know that's how the rest of us feel about Ozzy's songs. So, yeah. Love you guys.
I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Welcome to the real world.
I was thinking of the immortal words of Socrates, who said, I drank what?
I tried calling, but they don't have a listing for Mr. Wonderful.
What spelling did you use?
Which word didn't you understand?
I know it's a bit silly. Just a moment. Just a moment.
Sportos, motorheads, geeks, sluts, bloods, wastoids, dweebies, dickheads. They all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.